My spouse experienced a severe emotional collapse when I conceived after years of struggling with infertility, declaring he wanted me to move on with someone else. However, after our child was born, he began to transform. This pregnancy was meticulously planned after enduring prolonged fertility challenges. Despite our unexplained infertility, he consistently refused medical testing. He remained hopeful that we'd eventually conceive naturally. The mere suggestion of a sperm analysis triggered intense self-loathing and insecurity in him. Then, unexpectedly, I became pregnant without assistance. This should have been a joyous milestone, but suddenly, he rejected the idea of fatherhood. He insisted on a divorce, urging me to find a new partner. He's already secured a new place to live and is preparing to move out. He refuses to communicate or address my concerns. I'm left bewildered and devastated. Many might assume he never truly wanted a child. It certainly feels that way now. Yet, during our fertility struggles, he was eager to become a parent. The possibility that something might be wrong with him sent him into a tailspin. I deeply love my husband, but it's evident he's grappling with undiagnosed mental health issues. His thoughts and statements seem detached from reality. He refuses help, stubbornly so. As a physician, you'd expect him to recognize the need for support, but he doesn't. He admits something is wrong but claims he doesn't care. He wants to vanish. I desperately want this baby. We're in our 30s, and after years of trying, I'm terrified the stress will lead to a miscarriage. I suspect that's what he hopes for. I can't comprehend why this is happening. How do you compel someone to seek help when they refuse to improve? How can I raise a child alone? I rely on him financially, as that was our agreed-upon plan. Edit. After reflecting on feedback, it's clear my husband is mentally unwell. I omitted parts of his history to focus on this situation, but he's had similar episodes before. I'm stunned I didn't see it sooner. I've suggested therapy previously, but past negative experiences make him refuse to try again. Commenter 1, is there a family member or friend he trusts? Maybe his mother. He's closest to his father, but their talks are surface level, never emotional. I doubt he'll open up to anyone. When I asked how he'd explain our divorce to others, he said he wouldn't, claiming it's private. It's almost delusional to think he can divorce me secretly. Commenter 2, could he suspect infidelity? I've seen couples conceive after long-term fertility issues without IVF, and sometimes the husband assumes cheating. I don't think that's crossed his mind. He'd have confronted me if he suspected it. Oddly, it's surprising he hasn't considered it given his mindset. It aligns with his irrational thoughts. Commenter 3, was he ever diagnosed as infertile? Counseling could help him process health concerns. No, he refused testing, so we have no diagnosis. We had a chemical pregnancy before, so he knows he's capable of fathering a child. He was always confident we'd conceive naturally, dismissing tests as unnecessary. I'd love for him to seek counseling, but past mistreatment by mental health professionals has left him distrustful. Update 1. The comments on my last post were eye-opening, revealing truths about my husband and marriage I hadn't acknowledged. Some suggested his behavior is abusive. It's not. I now realize he's deeply mentally ill. Days after my post, he confided he wanted to end his life. He clarified he had no immediate plans to act on it, just an overwhelming desire to die. I reported this to his workplace the next day. I regret not doing so anonymously, as they seemed to dismiss me, possibly viewing me as a vengeful ex. I don't know the outcome, but I fulfilled my responsibility by reporting it. I've since noticed more erratic behavior, confirming he shouldn't be treating patients in this state. Some suggested he never wanted a child. That's far from true. Most of the time, he's a loving, normal husband who spoke warmly of our future family. I believe that's his true self, not the spiraling man before me. Little has changed. He's still at home, but sleeps on the couch, barely resting. I hear him awake at night. One night, he climbed into bed and held me, but by morning, it was as if it never happened. He's fixated on divorce, believing we can avoid lawyers or public knowledge. He even wants to create a dating profile for me to prove I'd be better off without him. I refused. He dismisses my desire to stay, claiming I'm not thinking clearly. He rejects therapy and medication, insisting he doesn't want to feel better or care about his irrationality. I'm still pregnant, and he remains detached from it. I'm terrified the stress will cause a miscarriage. I'm 5 weeks and 2 days along with a high risk of loss. I dread losing both my husband and baby. I don't know how I'd cope. Edit, I'm frustrated by comments criticizing me for not having him involuntarily committed. I have no power to do so. I've consulted a police officer and a suicide hotline. A person can't be committed unless they pose an immediate threat to themselves or others. He's only expressed a desire to die, not a plan. I won't lie to authorities. Even if I did, they'd speak to him, and without evidence of an immediate threat, they can't act. If you're going to judge me for not committing him, please don't comment. Wives lack the authority to force hospitalization. I've verified this. Update 2. I posted weeks ago about my husband's silence after our positive pregnancy test. This was a deeply desired, planned pregnancy, but it triggered a mental health crisis in him. I wish I had positive updates, but I don't. We're still in the same house, but he's turned his office into a bedroom. He rarely speaks to me, though he has fleeting moments of normalcy where he seems excited about the baby. These moments fade when I mention help, and he reverts to strange delusions. Sometimes he urges me to move out, date others, or find a new father for our child. He's even suggested I terminate the pregnancy. He repeatedly expresses a desire to die and thinks about ending his life daily. I've called the suicide hotline twice, but they say there's no way to force help unless he has a concrete plan to harm himself. I see glimpses of the man I married, but he refuses help, claiming he'd rather die than see a therapist. He believes he doesn't deserve to feel better and wants to fade away. My mother-in-law thinks I'm exaggerating and won't assist. I've reported him to his employer and the medical board, but no one seems concerned. I'm starting to question my own sanity. I've explored leaving, but there are no viable options except staying home. Leaving could jeopardize my claim to the house in a divorce. My first prenatal visit showed everything is fine, but the stress makes me fear miscarriage. Commenter 1, have you consulted a divorce attorney? Knowing the process and your rights is crucial. Not yet, but it's likely my next step. Commenter 2, you need to prioritize yourself. This situation seems unstable. I wouldn't keep the pregnancy in your position. Good luck. This was a long-desired, planned pregnancy. I'm pro-choice, but I can't justify terminating a child we tried years for. Commenter 3, could he be pretending? His behavior seems exclusive to you, not work or others. Maybe he's trying to push you out for another reason, like an affair? He's not faking. He's admitted he hopes to be fired to avoid quitting. He's also cut off his family and friends, which I didn't know initially. Commenter 4, is he in psychosis? I've never labeled it psychosis, but I've called him delusional because his self-perception is irrational. He says everyone despises him, he's worthless, and doesn't deserve to live. He wants to set me up with other men to prove he's awful. He recalls memories inaccurately. We had a joyful marriage until now. He knows I love him and value him, but he insists he's garbage and deserves suffering. He speaks as if these are facts, dismissing my counter-arguments. He can't grasp his worth. His eyes look different when he talks this way. It's not the man I know. Update 3. Much has changed, yet I feel stuck in the same place as 2 months ago. I couldn't get him involuntarily committed. However, he hit rock bottom and sought help himself shortly after my last post. He's been on medication for about 2 months and found a therapist he likes, but his schedule limits sessions to only 2 so far. I was so proud of his initiative, but things haven't improved much. He's still suicidal, mentioning it more often. His psychiatrist switched his medication and he's trying a new one. I know finding the right treatment takes time, but I'm drained. I've become his caregiver and emotional target. He's never physically abusive or cruel with names, but when spiraling, he says hurtful things to push me away. He tells me to find a new partner or accuses me of never loving him, only using him for a child. He's desperate to make me leave and I'm exhausted. It feels selfish, but I can't handle it. His ongoing threats to end his life are overwhelming. I feel like I'm harming my baby by staying in this stress. I've made a contingency plan. He needs to improve before the baby arrives. I've consulted a lawyer and have one ready if I choose to leave. I told him if he's not significantly better by the birth, I'll go to my family's state to deliver. Is that reasonable? I feel guilty since he's trying, but it's slow progress. I must protect myself and my child. Giving birth elsewhere and staying there could complicate his custody claims if it comes to that. My ideal outcome isn't leaving him. I've spent 8 months pouring everything into his recovery. He sees a psychiatrist occasionally and takes antidepressants, to my knowledge. Yet he remains passively suicidal, insisting I leave because he'll be a terrible father. He's never been violent except once, when he trapped me in a room, yelling, preventing me from leaving. I lack proof of that incident, but I have many texts showing his emotional abuse and instability. Ideally, I want him to heal, but without a legal way to force help, I doubt it's possible. He refuses therapy and says he doesn't want to improve. Separating seems my only option for a stable environment for my child. He's promised financial support if I leave, but I worry he'll pursue 50-50 custody to avoid child support. My state defaults to shared custody, and I've heard of women forced to share custody with abusive exes despite evidence. I fear he'll convince courts he's stable, given his respected job as a pediatrician and community reputation. I loved him, but he's not the man I married, and I'm scared. Legally, what should a woman in my position do? I have no local support. I'd rather not leave our home as I'm 8 months pregnant, have pets, and the nursery is ready. I might convince him to move out, but I'm unsure of the next steps. Update 5, July 13, 2025. 1-year update on my husband 32M becoming suicidal after I 31F conceived. I began this account over 2 years ago to discuss infertility. After 2 years of trying, we conceived. Tragically, my husband spiraled into a mental health crisis upon learning of the pregnancy. See my post history for details. Months after our baby's birth, I've been reflecting. Toward the end of my pregnancy, I planned to leave due to his severe mental instability and danger to himself. I considered delivering out of state, but the baby arrived nearly a month early. Post-birth, my husband seemed to completely recover. It's as if the ordeal never occurred, with no mental health episodes since. He's been mostly an exemplary father. Yet this isn't a joyful update. Motherhood has shown me unconditional love, and I realize my husband didn't deserve mine. Despite his recovery, I can't release my resentment. Each day, my anger grows. What he subjected me to was abuse, plain and simple. Yet he's been rewarded with a perfect child. I'm expected to resume being a perfect wife and mother as if nothing happened. But it did. Sometimes I wonder if it was a strange, pregnancy-fueled nightmare. It wasn't. He acknowledges my resentment but believes it'll fade. It's only worsened. He still refuses therapy, including couples counseling. I see no path to resolution. I feel trapped, blaming myself for not leaving sooner. My options are divorce, which I often want, but it means automatic 50-50 custody in my state, which terrifies me. I've met with a lawyer, and despite his actions during my pregnancy, it's insufficient to deny him custody. Abusers often retain shared custody unless the child was abused. Or I could stay, trying to release my resentment for our son's sake. But I don't know how to forgive someone who denies needing forgiveness. I'm in therapy, but my therapist pushes for couples counseling, which he rejects. I need neutral perspectives to navigate my options. Thank you for any advice.